our story is too subtle for that. Our story is too interesting. Our story is too special.
I was just really excited to go on the journey with Elaine. I love characters that have an arc and you don't really know how they're going to evolve.
How do people end up in cults? How do people end up doing things they never thought they would do?
And I did send him this pilot because I was like, dude, you gotta, especially for the ending of the pilot, I'm like, you gotta fucking read this.
Yay!
What's his name?
Her name is Wendy.
Wendy.
She is old and she just wants to get on camera. She's been trying for months. Hey, Christoph, start with you. This character is it's bizarre and strange, yet oddly normal. How did you find the nuance of playing Regus Patoff?
I followed Tony's guidance. It's when you open the script, that's how, line by line. It's not a facetious answer at all. That's what I do. That's why getting to know the people you are about to start work with is very important.
We work for the most successful mobile game studio in Los Angeles. But suddenly, our CEO is gone. And then he arrived.
And Tony, we spoke back when Servant was first coming out, and that is another dark thriller with some comedic elements to it and surrealness. How did you find this story? Was it all in the novel, or where did you get the scripts from, the ideas?
The premise is very much the novel. Bentley Little wrote a fantastic book. The Regus Patoff kind of jumped out on the first chapter of that, and I love this guy. There's a very dark, cruel sense of humor that Bentley Little has that I kind of, if you watch Servant again, it's my kind of vibe. So yeah, it felt like a really natural fit, and adapting it as obviously we're in a slightly different time because we're in lockdown. And the novel was published like 7 years earlier, so there was a lot of adjustments to make, but the setup is very much, what I took from the book and then had to obviously run with a different story within it. But yeah, it's very much from the book.
Good morning, comrades. My job is to observe, to streamline, to improve.
And Matt, we spoke back right before WandaVision hit, and this is vastly different from that, but it's still within that half-hour format where you've got these small chapters that are telling this developing story that you kind of feel the sense of dread and you don't know what's coming next. Was that kind of setting the table? Did that half hour create restraints, or was that something fun to play with versus maybe an hour, which is more common for a thriller?
I think the format is wonderful. You can pack a lot into a half an hour. And when I first read the script, much like Christoph, it was Tony's voice and the world that he was building that really pulled me into it, and the chance to play around with tone and style and to do so much in a half an hour was really one of the great opportunities. Yeah.
There's literally nothing online about it.
Some other CEO hired Patoff, and he was killed 2 weeks later.
And Christoph, the first thing when I read the novel, and in one of the key character traits for Regus Patoff is the bow tie. Like, that's called out in everything about that character. There's no bow tie here. Do you think that the physical manifestation, just the suit and the character, that speaks a lot of the character?
The bow tie just is a signal. And our story is too subtle for that. Our story is too interesting. Our story is too special to retort to something rather blunt as a bow tie signal,
Sure. Well, I got to say that this was a series that watching it, I figured I'd watch a few episodes and see how I felt. I could not stop watching it. So from the beginning to the end, loved it. Absolutely. One of my favorite of this year so far. And I cannot wait for everybody to check it out. Thank all three of you so much for your time.
He's firing Ian. Says he doesn't like the way he smells.
Bow your heads and pray for him.
Alex Meady, JoBlo.com. How are the three of you
Love
doing?
JoBlo.com.
Awesome. We love you too, Nat. So this show is fucking bizarre. It is so wonderfully bizarre, and I loved every minute of it. And
thank you.
it's so good. And Brittany, starting with you, like going from White Lotus to this and just being more at the forefront, I didn't know what to expect. What did you expect getting into this?
I was just really excited to go on the journey with Elaine. I love characters that have an arc and you don't really know how they're going to evolve. I think life is like that. And I loved the challenges that she had and the relationship she had in the office. And it was kind of like her world. And so I was excited to kind of delve into the world and work with such incredible actors and learn from them. And, Nat and Aimee are incredible. And then being able to work with Christoph was a dream. He's lovely. He's fantastic on and off screen. So that was something I was really excited to, I love being in stories. Maybe I like to disassociate a little bit. I don't know, but I just like to be, I think all actors just love to be in another world. And
Aimee, for you, this is, you have been in another, with The Menu, another darkly bizarre kind of horror, kind of comedy. Did you feel any of that similar kind of tone coming into this project?
We shot this almost immediately after The Menu. And I think that what I did see as a similarity that really intrigues me is this a concept, and I don't know if it's like so forward in The Consultant, but the concept of like, how do people end up in cults? How do people end up doing things they never thought they would do at the beginning of the story? And I think what I've come to the realization is that no one is immune. There are no stronger minded people. I think it's just if it's a perfect storm of the right power influence, and maybe it's a good time in your life or a bad time in your particularly suggestible time in your life, anyone can fall prey to powerful influence. And that was really interesting to me. So I think that's where the similarities are. But as far as the characters are very different, Patty is sort of the angel on Craig's shoulder, as opposed to Felicity, who is just kind of like, a Nepo baby, for lack of a better term. And I think she's a very working class person. And I think that while both projects sort of meditate on capitalism and what it's sort of doing to our culture, I think The Consultant is more about the working person and how there is no social safety net. Elaine and Craig, they can't quit, because if they quit, then they have no healthcare, they have no way to pay their rent, and same goes for Patty. So I think it's taking a different look at working culture, I guess.
How many of these patrons do you think we could fight? I think I could fight 4 of them, and you could subdue the remaining 3.
Excuse me?
And Nat, for you, was this project, I don't know if it was at the script or when you got involved actually with the acting side of things, but was this kind of a hold my beer project for you with your brother when it comes to bizarre, cultish horror stories?
Hold my beer. I mean, God, yeah. I mean, the funny thing is that like it's there's been a couple times where Alex and I will like send each other scripts, or I'll read things that he's doing. And I did send him this pilot because I was like, dude, you gotta, especially for the ending of the pilot, I'm like, you gotta fucking read this. But he still hasn't seen the show, so I'm excited for him to see it. But it's that end of because we only got to read the pilot when we signed on to the show. And in the beginning of it, you're like, wow, this is eerie and interesting. And then that twist at the end, you're like, holy fuck. I mean, it's I screamed in my apartment when I read it. I also had my mom read. I kept sending it to people because I'm like, is this as incredibly unique as I think it is? And everybody was just totally shocked and appalled. And I mean, that's the ideal.
And this is exactly one of those shows that when I am prepping to talk to folks about the projects, you watch a few and then maybe get into it. I watched all of them straight through and I could not put it down. People are going to love it. This is going to be one of those everybody's talking about. I cannot wait for people to check it out. All 3 of you are fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today.
Wow. Thank you, Alex. I really appreciate that.
Thanks all.